Okay, so there's a mystery unfolding in the crypto world right now. It involves XRP, some very large institutions, and market signals that, well, they just don't add up. Today, we're going to try and unravel what's being called the XRP Anomaly. So, what's the big deal? It all kicks off with this: over 40,000 mysterious transactions suddenly appearing on the XRP network, seemingly out of thin air. You can imagine, this sudden flood of activity has analysts scratching their heads and has the whole crypto community buzzing with theories. So let's dive right in and start with the anomaly itself, this very strange signal in the code that really got this whole investigation started. We are talking about more than 40,000 transactions, and this was a massive, completely unannounced wave of activity. To put that in perspective, this is not just a little ripple of activity. It's more like a tidal wave on the blockchain. This is absolutely not a typical day on the network. And here's where it gets really fascinating. When you look closer, this was anything but random. First off, the origin, a total history. The amounts were small, but they were constant. But the pattern, wow, it's incredibly regular, almost like clockwork. It's mechanical. Transactions were firing off every few seconds, which points to one thing: this was clearly deliberate. So let's put on our detective hats for a second. What could possibly explain such a huge and coordinated event? Well, analysts are connecting the dots, and one theory is definitely rising to the top. Now, while there are a few ideas floating around out there, as you can see, one of them stands out by a mile. A full 70% of analysts believe this wasn't an attack or some weird glitch. No, they think it was something much, much bigger. A large-scale institutional test. This quote from a market analyst really just hits the nail on the head. Someone very big is stress testing the network, pushing it to its absolute limits to see how it performs. They're gathering data. And you know that usually only happens for one reason. They're getting ready to launch something important. So just as this institutional test theory was really picking up steam, another key piece of the puzzle emerged. It's a strategic move by Ripple that seems to confirm, well, pretty much everything. And this clue takes us all the way to Singapore, a major hub for global finance. Right around this time, Ripple scored a huge regulatory victory, getting the green light to expand its license there. The timing, coming so close to all that mysterious network activity, it's a little too convenient, don't you think? You see, this new license lets Ripple offer its clients a brand new stablecoin, RLUSD. And what's it for? It's designed for exactly this kind of thing, letting huge financial institutions shuttle money across borders fast, cheap, and secure. And suddenly, boom, those 40,000 mysterious transactions make perfect sense. It was almost certainly a test of this exact system. Okay, so now let's pivot and look at how the market is reacting to all of this. Because while you have the institutions making these huge moves behind the scenes, the public market is telling a completely different story. A really clear division is starting to form. So what does this big divide tell us? Well, on one side, you have retail investors, and their confidence is clearly shaken. Demand in the derivatives market, which is a great indicator of how they're feeling, has just plummeted. But on the other side, institutions are doing the exact opposite. Their interest is just growing stronger and stronger. I mean, just look at these numbers. They are stark. Open interest from retail traders has plunged by over 55%. But at the same time, institutional money pouring into XRP ETFs, which is how the big players get in, has topped $824 million over 12 straight days of buying. It is truly a tale of two markets, moving in completely opposite directions. All right, let's connect all these dots. When you look at the weird network anomaly side by side with this sharp split in the market, a really clear picture starts to emerge. Let's just retrace our steps for a second. We started with this technical mystery, right? That led us to the theory of a massive institutional test. Then, Ripple's big win in Singapore provided the motive. And finally, the market data seems to confirm it all, showing us exactly who is likely pulling the strings behind the curtain. So the real key takeaway here is this. This whole thing is way more than just a technical glitch. It's a powerful signal that major institutional adoption in crypto doesn't always come with a fancy press release. A lot of the time, it's prepared in silence, with massive tests just like the one we've been looking at. And that leaves us with one final, big question just hanging in the air. If the big players are preparing so methodically, so quietly, What are they saying? What is it they know that maybe the retail market is completely overlooking? And that's the real mystery this anomaly has revealed.